What's up, guys? Welcome back to Call of the Wild the Angler. This is going to be more of an informative video than anything else. And the reason why I'm making it is because a friend of mine, well, I guess not really a friend, but a good person that I know via online, they had asked me a question. And it's a question that I've gotten in real life as well. So I figured, why not just cover it in a video? So that's what we're going to do today, guys. Today we are going to discuss gear ratio. What the fuck is gear ratio? What does it mean? How does it affect my gameplay? All right, let's tackle that first one, or the last one first. How does it affect your gameplay? In this game, quite simply put, it doesn't. There is no effect whatsoever. However, saying that, if you decide to challenge yourself, you could go after some of the smaller fish, the slower fish, with a lure. And if you're going to do that, you're going to want to pay attention to your gear ratio because it'll help you get them with the lure. Do I recommend going after them with a lure? No. Absolutely, positively not. You're setting yourself up for a headache. But that being said, for the most part, the vast majority, the gear ratio makes no difference whatsoever in the game. It has no significance. So don't worry about the gear ratio, okay? Just don't worry about it. It makes no difference. For this game, what you want to pay attention to is this right here. When it comes to your reels, you want to pay attention specifically this number right here, which is the diameter of the line that you can put on it. All right, that's the most important stat here for the game, considering reels. Now, gear ratio, what is it? Okay, so as you can see here, your gear ratio is divided into two numbers, as are most ratios. What is a ratio? A ratio is a fraction. But that's the simplest way of putting it. A ratio is a fraction. Having said that, you'll now understand why the last number on every single reel is 1. The reason why it's 1 is because they broke that fraction down into its common denominator, which is going to be 1. And the reason why it's 1 is because 1 represents the number of 360-degree turns you have on your reel handle. The part that you turn on the reel, that's the handle, okay? So for every complete turn on that handle, that's what the number 1 represents. That's 1 complete turn on the handle. So then what is 6? What is 6.5? What is 5.5? What is 7? This is the important number. This is what you really want to pay attention to. Again, it has no bearing in the game. None whatsoever. It does not matter. This number is how many wraps on your spool that you get. So for the Rudelflug, for example, we're going to have 6 wraps of line per 1 complete turn of our handle. Simple? I'll make it simpler for you. Think of your gear ratio as speed. Seriously, think of it as speed. This is how fast your reel operates, how fast your reel brings in line. It's the constant of your reel. Yeah, you can spin your hand faster and faster and faster, but it's always going to be 6-1 with the Rudelflug. It doesn't matter how fast you're spinning the handle. That reel can only handle so much, so it's only going to pull 6 wraps per 1 turn of the handle. To make it even simpler, think of it as miles per hour if you want. The higher this number, the faster your reel speed. The lower this number, the slower your reel speed. Simple, right? I don't know how much more simple I can make it, guys. If you still have questions, though, please, by all means, let me know in the comments section. I will do my best to answer them. I do have a real-life fishing rod and reel. If I have to bring that out and make a video showing you exactly how it works in order to get you to understand it, I will do that. All right? But it's a common question, so don't feel bad if you didn't know this. This is a very common question. There's a lot of anglers that don't understand gear ratio. They have no clue. They just look at their reel and they go, oh, it's 6-to-1, I guess that's good. They have no clue what they're talking about. They have no clue. They just go, oh, 6-to-1, that's good. And they put it on their rod without knowing exactly what it means or how it's going to affect them in real life fishing. So now that we've covered the in-game portion, if that's all the information you wanted to know, go ahead and exit out now. Thank you for watching. However, if you want to hear about the real life implications and applications of gear ratio, that's what we're going to cover next, as soon as I get a drink because my throat hurts. All right, so we know what gear ratio is. It's speed of the reel. So in real life fishing applications, this is all we're talking about is real life fishing right now. For those of you who really want to understand this stuff, it's the same thing in real life. This is the speed that your line wraps on your spool when you reel in. The application. All right, so this is where things get a little bit tricky, but it's still pretty easy to understand if you just accept it. All right. So with spinning reels, your gear ratio, the higher your gear ratio is, some people will claim the better. And to a degree, that's true. I would probably never go higher than 6-to-1 on a spinning reel. And the reason being is because you don't have to reel in. You're not manipulating a lure, usually. You can lure fish with a spinning reel. All right, so it all depends on what you're fishing for, or how you're fishing, sorry, excuse me. It all depends on the style of fishing that you're doing. If you're lure fishing, you're gonna want a higher gear ratio on a spinning rod. If you're just float fishing, 5-to-1 will be fine. Honestly, 5-to-1 will be just fine. However, that being said, I told you this is going to get a little bit more complicated. A higher gear ratio will allow you to take the slack out of your line quicker, and it also assists, again, we're talking about spin fishing, it also assists with getting that hook set. So I said yes, 5-to-1 will be fine for real life spin fishing if all you're doing is float fishing. But you may want to go to a 6-to-1. You may even want to go to a 7-to-1, depending on your skill in fishing. If you can read the water, if you see that your line is going slack and you know that you can get that slack out of your line pretty quickly, or if you want to take your time, it all depends on how you fish, especially with spin fishing when it comes to gear ratios. Bait casting, this is a whole other beast, especially when it comes to gear ratios. So, bait casting. I love bait casting, but I hate it at the same time. The reason why I hate it is because if I change from subsurface lures to topwater, I generally want to put on a different reel. So, I'll explain. So when it comes to gear ratio with bait casting reels, your 6-to-1, anything from 6-to-7 is considered your kind of go-to gear ratio. And that's excellent for your subsurface lures. What am I talking about? I'm talking about your spinner baits, I'm talking about your spinners, I'm talking about your spoons and your swimmers. Even your not your popper, sorry. Your jerk baits and your crankbaits. Those are all subsurface lures. If you're throwing I think a Texas rig is subsurface. If your presentation is below the surface of the water, anything between 6 to 1 on your gear ratio or 6 to 7 on your gear ratio will be perfect. If you're fishing top water, if you're fishing those frogs and those poppers, you're going to want something above 7. And the reason for that is because you want to hit it faster top water than you do subsurface. Think about it. If you're a frog, watch frogs at your lake. Watch how they move when they're on the water. They're fast little fuckers. All right? They jump and they're fast. You're trying to replicate that with the frog. You're trying to replicate how they move top water. So you want that faster reel speed in order to replicate that. And that's why top water, you want faster speeds, whereas subsurface, it's not as necessary. 6 to 7 is just fine. And I think that's about as detailed as I need to go with this. So there you have it, guys. If you like this video, if you found it informative, hit that like button. If I've earned it, hit the subscribe button. And as always, be safe, be cool, have fun. We'll catch you in the next one, and put in the comments, what else would you like to know about fishing gear? I'll be more than happy to answer. We'll catch you next time.